This is TradeFlow News, bringing you relevant news and insights from around the world. TradeFlow News, enabling trade for SMEs and economies worldwide.
These are some of the key topics that we will be looking into in today's program.
First, let's take a look at the overnight headlines which are impacting the commodity markets.
Top oil exporter Saudi Arabia raised the official selling price, OSP, for its flagship Arab Light crude to Asia in April in line with expectations, trade sources said. Saudi Aramco set the OSP for April loading Arab Light crude to Asia at $1.70 a barrel over the Oman-Dubai average, slightly above the previous month's OSP of $1.50 a barrel. The price was in line with market expectations that Saudi Arabia would keep the OSP of its flagship Arab Light crude to Asia unchanged or up by 10 to 20 cents a barrel for April. April OSPs to Northwest Europe were lowered by 60 to 70 cents a barrel, and for crude going to the United States the OSPs were little changed.
Oil prices rebounded slightly on Wednesday after extended declines as signs of supply tightness amid output cuts by major producers overrode demand growth concerns in China and the US, the world's two biggest crude consumers. Brent crude futures were up 17 cents to $82.21 a barrel at 0440 GMT after falling in the previous four sessions, while US West Texas Intermediate crude futures rose 19 cents to $78.34 a barrel after declining the past 2 days. China's economic growth target for 2024 of around 5% set on Tuesday lacked big-ticket stimulus plans to prop up the country's struggling economy, which increased concerns that demand growth in the country may lag this year.
Moving on to the top news in the energy sector.
Bangladesh will invite international bidding for oil and gas exploration in 24 blocks in the Bay of Bengal on March 10 in an effort to boost domestic energy production, the chairman of state-owned Petrobangla told Reuters on Tuesday. Bangladesh has been battling with energy shortages, with its gas reserves fast depleting and a spike in fuel prices following the Ukraine war. The deadline for submission of offers for the 24 offshore blocks will be the first week of September, and after evaluations, we are hoping to finalize the deals by the end of this year, said Zanendra Nath Sarkar.
The Biden administration's decision to exclude the existing U.S. fleet of natural gas power plants from upcoming carbon emissions regulations raises questions over the nation's ability to meet its climate goals, according to researchers. Cleaning up the U.S. power industry, source of about a quarter of the nation's greenhouse gas emissions, has been a central plank of President Joe Biden's strategy to decarbonize the nation's economy by 2050 to counter global warming. But in an unusual move, the Environmental Protection Agency late last week said it would take existing gas plants, which account for over 40% of U.S. power sector carbon emissions, out of the plan before finalizing the rule, a decision made after months of intense industry opposition. Next, we have the top news in metal markets. Nickel prices fell on Wednesday as traders eyed better supply from top producer Indonesia, while a steady U.S. dollar and the lack of policy support from leading consumer China weighed on market sentiment. 3-month nickel on the London Metal Exchange was down 1% at $17,585 per metric ton by 0406 GMT, while the most traded May nickel contract on the Shanghai Futures Exchange dropped 2% to 134,680 yuan, $18,707.89 per ton. Indonesia has approved requests for the mining production quota from more than 120 mineral companies and aims to complete the approval process this month, a senior official at the Energy and Mineral Resources Ministry said on Tuesday.
Asian equities eased on Wednesday in cautious trading, with Chinese stocks slipping as the lack of big stimulus measures from Beijing disappointed some investors, while gold and Bitcoin eased after hitting record highs. Traders are hesitant to place major bets ahead of congressional testimony from Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell that will be paused to gauge if the U.S. central bank is ready to start cutting rates. MSCI's broadest index of Asia-Pacific shares outside Japan was 0.21% lower. Japan's Nikkei fell 0.20% as investors took some profit after the index hit record peaks this week. Chinese stocks fell on Wednesday, a day after Beijing set a widely expected 5% growth target for 2024 at a parliament meeting that lacked major stimulus measures.
We will now look at the top news in the agricultural sector.
Malaysia's biodiesel production could rise to 1.8 million metric tons in 2024 if the government expands its 20% biodiesel mandatory program to more areas in the country, the Malaysian Biodiesel Association, MBA, said on Tuesday. Malaysia has rolled out a B20 program, where diesel for transportation must be blended with 20% palm-based biodiesel, in phases, with most areas in the nation currently implementing 10% blending or a B10 program for the transportation sector. We can get several blending facilities up and running faster. Then we obviously can go into B20 then. MBA President Uranithan told Reuters in an interview, adding that nationwide implementation would take more time and cost. That is all for today's news on commodity markets. Stay tuned to TradeFlow News as we continue to provide you with more updates. We also invite you to follow us on Twitter at TradeFlow News, which allows you to watch our program on your mobile device or desktop to receive information from there.